All right, welcome. Today we're going to be architects, but we're not designing buildings. We're going to be designing something far more important, a blueprint for a good decision. We'll be digging into the master virtue that connects what we know to what we actually do.
We've all been there, right? You know exactly what the right thing to do is, but actually doing it, that's a whole other story. There's this massive gap between knowing and doing. So why is it so hard to put our principles into practice? Well, the answer lies in a virtue specifically designed to bridge that exact gap: prudence.
So what even is prudence? First off, let's get one thing straight. This isn't about being overly cautious or just, timid. In the classical sense, prudence is an incredibly powerful intellectual virtue. You can think of it as a special kind of wisdom. It's wisdom in action.
Aquinas has this fantastic Latin phrase for it: recta ratio agibilium. It literally means right reason applied to action. See, it's not just about thinking correctly in the abstract. It's the very concrete skill of looking at a situation right here and now and using sound reason to figure out the right move. Okay, so here's a really important distinction. Think of your intellect as having two different jobs. The speculative intellect, that's like your internal library. Its goal is just knowing the truth. Math, science, metaphysics, it's all about gathering knowledge. But the practical intellect is totally different. It's pointed outward, toward the world. Its entire reason for being is to guide a good action. Prudence is the virtue that perfects this practical intellect. You can have a head full of knowledge and never use it, but the whole point of prudence is to act well.
So, how does this actually work? I mean, mechanically, how does reason get us to do something? Well, it turns out it operates on a pretty simple logical framework that connects a big universal principle to a very specific concrete situation you're in. And that logical engine has a name: the practical syllogism. It's the psychological link, the bridge, that connects our thoughts to our actions. It's the basic structure of our moral reasoning when we're in the thick of it. And really, every prudent choice follows this three-step pattern, whether we're conscious of it or not. You start with a major premise, some universal truth you hold. Then, you use your reason to apply it to the specific situation with a minor premise. But here's the kicker. The conclusion isn't just another thought. It is the choice. It's the decision to act.
And sometimes it's just that simple, right? Avoid bad things. This particular thing is bad, therefore avoid this. It's a direct, powerful, logical line of reasoning, and it's the fundamental structure that prudence is built to manage.
But it's not just one single lightning-fast event. Aquinas, because he's Aquinas, of course breaks the act of prudence down even further into three distinct steps. It's a clear, deliberate process.
First, there's counsel. This is where we gather the facts, we investigate, we explore our options. Second, we make a judgment. We look at what we found and we decide, okay, this is the best course of action. Now, a lot of us stop right there, but the final and most crucial step of prudence is command. This is where our reason actually orders us. Do this, now.
And this quote from Aquinas just nails it. The principal act, good deliberation, sound judgment, those are absolutely essential, but they're all pointed toward this final decisive act. Command is what turns a good idea into a good action. Without it, all our reasoning is just thinking. Prudence is what makes sure we actually follow through.
Okay, this all sounds pretty neat and tidy, doesn't it? So, if our reasoning follows this logical structure, why do we mess it up so often? Why do we make so many imprudent choices? Where does the architecture fail?
Well, Aristotle gave us a brilliant diagnosis for why this whole system breaks down. I mean, sometimes the problem is just immaturity or a lack of good habits. We might not have the right principles or we don't know how to apply them. But the most common failure point, the thing that most often sabotages our good reason, it's our own untutored passions.
And this right here is the critical insight. A strong passion doesn't usually make us forget our moral principles. It's sneakier than that. It tricks us into using a completely different line of reasoning in the moment. So your desire for that donut doesn't erase your major premise of, I should eat healthy. No, it just makes you grab a different major premise, like pleasurable things are good to have right now. Your logical engine is still running perfectly, but it's been hijacked and is now driving you straight to the donut shop.
And this is exactly why prudence can't function on its own. It's the architect, absolutely, but that architect needs a security detail. It needs backup from the other moral virtues to actually work properly.
So you can think of the other moral virtues as bodyguards for your reason. Their whole job is to protect that three-step process:
counsel, judgment, and command from getting hijacked by our passions. They make sure the architect can actually do its work without being interfered with.
Let's see how this works in practice. Take temperance. That's the virtue that helps us manage our desires for pleasure. Its job is to protect the judgment phase. It keeps our craving for that donut from corrupting our assessment of what's truly good for us. Then you have courage. It manages fear and our aversion to difficulty. It protects the command phase, ensuring that once we've made a good decision, fear or even just laziness doesn't stop us from actually following through.
This quote from Service Pinkers just summarizes the whole thing perfectly. It shows how deeply interconnected all these virtues are. Prudence is the director, but it can't make the movie without its actors. A failure in courage isn't just a moment of cowardice, it's also a direct failure of prudence. It makes you act imprudently.
So that's the final blueprint. A prudent choice is like a well-engineered building. Your reason is the architect, meticulously drawing up the plans. But those plans are totally useless without the strong materials, the courage and temperance needed to protect the project from the winds of desire and fear. So the final question isn't just about thinking better, it's about you. Is your reason just drawing up good plans, or are you also forging the virtues you need to actually build them?